Good thing. Okay, great. Well, everything that you're going to see tonight, everything you're going to witness tonight is, for me personally, I know many of you don't know a lot about this. I happen to be the only survivor left. It's kind of like I feel like I was on the Titanic or something. Everyone's gone, and I'm the last, person standing. So, the interesting thing about this whole concept, this was life changing for me back in 1994, and I want to share it with you tonight. We can make it available to everybody. I think it's paramount that people get access to this incredible information. People talk about mindset, people talk about all kinds of interesting things out there. But the biggest observation that I'm making on the internet right now amongst my peers, friends, colleagues, even people that are supposed to be quote unquote superstars in this industry. The biggest obstacle that I'm seeing right now is people are repelling from the answers, from the truth. They say the truth will set you free, and most people are staying away from the truth, and they're looking for other means of operations, gimmicks and manipulations. And there's a lot of poverty consciousness out there on the internet. Most people aren't even aware that they're suffering from poverty consciousness, which is a reflection of the human mind. So in 1994, I had the great privilege and honor of hanging out with Bob Proctor. I don't know if any of you know Bob Proctor, but you might know him. Some of you might not. Bob Proctor is a celebrity. He was in the movie The Secret. I had the great privilege of hanging out with a gentleman by the name of Fred Berrigan, who went by the name Verenicus. He was a very special individual in my life. Became like a father figure to me back in the 90s. He really, really was. This man, you never once saw him without a tuxedo on. You never witnessed him without a tuxedo on. Whether we went to a restaurant, we went to a jazz bar to listen to music, as I built a relationship with him, he was always dressed in a tux, and he had this complex, and people would ask him, why are you always dressed up in a tux? And he looked like, $10 million all the time. Really good looking man, silver suave hair and everything. He said, you always should dress for success. And I'll never forget that as long as I live, because most people aren't dressing for success today. You see people running around in their pajamas and whatnot, including me. So I guess I got to go back and walk the talk. So anyhow, I think what I'm going to share with you tonight is, the most powerful tool right now in the universe to get people to where they want to go, whether it be health, wealth, happiness, whether it be manifesting, just incredible things in your life, maybe a loved one, maybe a significant other, maybe money, maybe a home. People talk about, I'm going to buy a new home sometime, I'm going to get a new car, I'm going to take that vacation. For a lot of people, those are just words. They're not facts. And when you learn what we have going on here, you can take those words and turn them into facts. I've used this content when I was a shy, scared, introverted person, didn't have a whole lot going on for me in any which way, shape, or form. I remember in 1994, I was living in a friend's basement, believe it or not, and the basement wasn't fancy. It wasn't a five-star resort. I was sleeping on a pull-out couch. And then I was invited downtown, through connections, invited downtown, had to go to this live meeting. And I went to the live meeting and I was absolutely blown away downtown. It was actually on 690 Bay Street, which is kind of like Wall Street in New York. It was Bay Street. And I was blown away. And there was a gentleman there that was doing a fabulous presentation. I had never heard the language before in my life. And I just want to let you know, prior to going downtown and spending time with him, while I was living in that basement, sleeping on a couch, it was a pull-out couch, so I wasn't laying on the couch. I got to pull it out at night. That was a luxury, and have a sleeping bag and a pillow. But I had been to many seminars, the Zig Ziglars, the Brian Tracy's, the Anthony Robbins, the Firewalk. I had all the tapes. I had all the books. I had a library collection that was probably worth several $100s, and I didn't have a whole lot of money coming in. But it wasn't until I went down and I went through the presentation, I was blown away. There was a gentleman, Verenicus, Fred Berrigan, selling eight audio cassette tapes, believe it or not, and a spiral bound gold embossed manual. And the course at the time was called Wisdom, and it was unlike anything you had ever been exposed to. It wasn't your man-made self-help movement, which was created by the Conan Nightingale team back in the 1940s. This was tapping into more of an esoteric brand, more of a, I'm not going to sit here and get into religion because I come from a Pentecostal background. played Jesus in the plays. I know what it's like to speak in tongues. I've been slain in the spirit. I've crashed into furniture and have been in convulsions and all kinds of things. I've experienced it all. Didn't get hurt in any of it. And, just I was pretty involved. All right. So the point being is, I had never heard anything like this, what he was talking about and how he brought it together. And as I became a student of this material, I bought it that night. I didn't have the money. I found a way to get the money. He actually leveraged me a little bit. I was able to give him $250 down on the $1,250. So I gave him 250 down. He liked me so much as we had a chat, and he just let me make payments on it. But I was able to pay it back very quickly, the $1,250, because as I started going through the material and I started showing up and I stayed plugged in, which is something most people don't do on the internet. I stayed plugged in. I went down to those meetings, come hell or high water. And I'll tell you how dedicated I was. I wasn't worried about whether or not I was going to get a ticket. I was driving a car with my plates expired 3 years in advance, and I didn't have car insurance. Very irresponsible of me. I know some of you want to lecture me, but that's how committed I was to getting downtown, to never missing a meeting. This man had me hypnotized, mesmerized, and I knew that he was my ticket out of everything that I totally hated about myself, didn't like about myself, didn't like my situation. Other people saw different things in me, but I couldn't feel. I didn't see the nice things that they saw in me. I was a train wreck. And then as time went on, he had a $1,250 program attached to it, an affiliate program. There was commissions to be made, like $1,000. Eventually, I started evolving very quickly. I just want to give you the short version. I could go on and tell you stories that would totally rock your world, bring some of you to tears, probably in some cases. And yeah, I never saw so many breakthroughs in my life, honestly. And I've been, everyone says, well, I went to Anthony Robbins, I had a breakthrough. No, you didn't. You got hyped out and you got a credit card bill. No offense to Anthony Robbins, great content, fabulous stuff, but not even in the same league as this. So with this, I started making money. I was pulling in back in the day, maybe $810 a month back in 1994, not a whole lot of money, nothing to be proud of, nothing to boast of. And then I went from $810, a month to making about $10,000 a week. Not bad for that's 40 grand a month actually. So not bad for somebody like me that was shy, introverted, and scared. I felt compelled. I started taking steps out. Fred worked with me a little bit as I was going through his material. I was evolving, I was growing, I was becoming like totally empowered. But what he did is he forced me to grow. He'd pull me out of the audience and make me get up. He didn't make me, but he forced me in a way to get up, and I had to talk. I had to do part of the presentation, shaking like a leaf, cotton mouth. My tongue was stuck to the roof of my mouth. My hands were sweating. I was trembling, but you know what? I got through it, and everyone said, "Wow, that was pretty cool." So it was very supportive, very loving. But the most important thing I can tell you about the course, because there's just so much. All right, like this is Bob Proctor, and Tracy and I will get a video up here very soon. This is a fireside chat right now. Tracy and I'll get a video up here very soon on the website with Bob Proctor talking, and Bob Proctor talks about the missing piece to the movie The Secret. You see, what Verenicus created in 94, 95, and I was the catalyst in creating it. I was one of 5 founders, and the only surviving founder that I know of left. Verenicus died 2010. His sidekick died in 2023, and the others nowhere to be found. And I'm the only one that can tell the story. And there are incredible stories that would rock your world from people making $300,000, $400,000 a month with his material. This material originally came out of the early century, 19th century, created in 1909, published in 1912, went into kind of a quiet time, a kind of an incubation in 1932, if I may say that, and nobody ever had access to it other than those in the elite group in status in society and life. If you ever study power players in life, I'm talking about very prominent, powerful people. How many of you honestly think, I've got so much information in my head, so if I sound scattered, I do apologize. How many of you honestly think that people like Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, powerful politicians, powerful executives, how many of you think they really set goals and buy into the self-help movement and the power of positive thinking and all that silliness? They don't. They understand how to tap into the flow. I'm just going to call it the flow on tonight's call. They have expectations. They know what they want. They demand what they want, and they get what they want. That's just the way it is. There's no negotiation. And there's a reason why they're able to do that. And the protocol that we have right here, right now, tonight, will teach you how to do that. Back in the late 90s, as I became really good and became a scholar of this information, I was able to dominate. I was considered the top marketer in the world. Was I? No. Nowhere near, but magazines just did that for gimmickry. But I was still doing the impossible that nobody else in the history of network marketing had ever done before. I was building organizations bigger and faster than anybody in the history of network marketing. What's bigger and faster? 63,000 people in my downline in 5 weeks. Sponsoring 3,482 people in a company in 5.5 weeks. No email, by the way. There was no email back in the day when we were doing this. So I've had over 3 million people in my downlines, and I sold $91 million in courses on the internet. Those are not normal things. The only person today that would blow that out of the water is somebody like Russell Brunson. All right. And he was one of my former students. And speaking of Russell Brunson, it's really interesting because he's wanting to tap into this information. He doesn't have it. He thinks he kind of has it, but he doesn't have it. Russell Brunson, listen to this very carefully. Russell's a former student. I have the utmost respect for Russell. Russell jumps on Lear jets, and to lease a Lear jet, you're looking at $20,000 to $25,000. He jumps on a Lear jet and he'll fly to a certain destination, in North America or outside of North America to buy books. He likes to buy books, and books that might be unique and different because they have a signature attached to it, or it might be a first volume edition, the very first one printed. Russell drops $1 million to buy a book. Russell drops $100,000 to buy a book. Russell drops $500,000 to buy a book. I'm sitting here on the keys to the kingdom. He doesn't have it. I wonder how much he would pay me for what I'm offering you tonight for next to nothing. You know what I'm saying? So why does he buy these books? Because valuable pieces of information. Information acted upon creates wealth. Information stuck on the shelf, or information going through an intellectual exercise of an intellectual derelict, not using the information, has no use at all. Somebody once said, knowledge is power. Knowledge is not power. It's the activation of knowledge that's power. So anyhow, everything that I've got in my life, and I've got quite a bit of stuff, whether you want to talk about investment homes and cars and other things in life, I never would have had any of it if it wasn't for what we have here in this website. Anyone that's walking the face of the earth that's worth, millions and millions of dollars wouldn't have anything close to that if they weren't using the principles that are here in the website. And now I want to shorten this call up because I don't want to drag it on. I've got so many stories to tell you. I'm not going to spend my whole time doing that tonight. But what we have here is something called Behind the Secret. Tracy and I created this concept, Behind the Secret. We've had some help from some significant others in the project, but Tracy and I created this concept called Behind the Secret. And the reason why we call it Behind the Secret is people do not know the truth. I've been frustrated for the last 26 years watching marketers on the internet talk about law of attraction, talk about, attracting people strictly through law of attraction, magnetic marketing. They have no idea what that means. They do in a commercial sense, like as a tourist, like buying a little postcard or something like that. They really have no idea what they're talking about. They're not even close to it. All right. It's kind of like the person that reads a book and says, wow, that was an incredible book. I really enjoyed reading that. Those are the law of attraction people on the internet that don't have a clue. And then you've got the law of attraction people, not a whole lot of them out there, that really understand the principles, how it all works. Law of attraction also has to do with circulation. Most people don't know the law of circulation. Without circulation, you are not alive. Your body drops dead in a second. All right. So we can talk about energy. I'm not going to get into quantum physics. My whole point being is Rhonda Byrne used everything I'm giving you tonight to create the movie The Secret. If there wasn't this content that I'm offering you for next to nothing right here, right now, tonight, I'm giving you a second chance at life. I'm not one of those clowns that's going to come on a call and say, hey, this is a life changer. This changes people's lives. You know how those people say that in MLM, this changes people's lives? No, it doesn't. All right. People change their lives from the inside out. They don't change their lives from some, AI poster on the internet. You know what I'm saying? So this brings you to the truth. This will teach you how to tap in to the source. Everything we got going on here is just, I think of all the words that I could possibly use to describe this, but it will help you to understand every event that happened to you in your life, everything that has ever happened to you in your life, why you're on this call tonight, why your parents are your parents, why you had the job you had, everything about your relationships, your children. When you go through all of this, you will really, if you choose to become a scholar, and my whole point being in law of attraction, the missing element missing for most people is they're not assimilating, internalizing, and manifesting the desired end result. And I'll give an example of that. When you take a look at chapter 1 through this incredible concept platform, when you go through the chapter 1 experience, some of you are going to go through it in 15 minutes. I went through it in 5.5 months. And every time I tell people that, they think I'm whacked. Why did it take you to go through 7 to 15 minutes worth of material in 5.5 months? Because I went over it and I went over it and I went over it and I internalized it, I assimilated it, I manifested it, I became it. You ever seen the movie Silence of the Lambs? Can't even think of the guy's name offhand. It'll come to me when I think of his name. I'm sorry, I'm just having a brain freeze here. Anthony Hopkins. He was incredible in that movie. And that's what makes the difference between an incredible Academy Award-winning actor and somebody that's just kind of like, filling up time and space in a sitcom. So this is the separation point. And I'll just cut this short because I could go on and on. This is the missing link that Bob Proctor was talking about that was not in the movie The Secret. Rhonda, for some unknown reason, never tapped into this to bring this out into The Secret. She did a fabulous job at creating an introductory level, explanation of law of attraction and frequency and quantum physics. And, she made a sense of awareness out there. This will teach you how to dominate and control. I walk into meetings in the real world. Tomorrow I could have a meeting and I will close that meeting tonight. And the person's never heard my name, never met me before in this lifetime. They'll be closed tonight before I meet them tomorrow. How do you do these things? It's all in the course. All right. This is what the greatest minds in the world know about sales and marketing. If you want to apply it to sales and marketing, everything and anything I've wanted, in life without limit or compromise. I've knocked on people's doors that had cars in their driveway that I wanted. The cars were not for sale. I ended up buying them. There were people that I wanted relationships with. Sorry about the birds in the background. There were people that I wanted relationships with. I found a way to have a relationship with every single person that I've ever wanted to be with in this lifetime. All right. How do you do these things? How do you dominate and control? So this is going to take a person from average, from mediocrity, from complacent to superstar status. And people around you will be blown away by your demeanor. They'll say something's changed about you, and you'll be able to walk into a room. You'll still be the same person on the outside, but there's going to be something about your energy on the inside, and people will be, oh my gosh, you'll be the talk of the town. So I don't know if that makes you feel comfortable. It makes me feel comfortable because financially, when you're the talk of the town, it makes you money. Good, bad, or ugly, it makes you money. Little controversy makes you money. When people are not talking about you, you're not even relevant. You're just sucking oxygen in the game of life, and that's a lot of people. So if there's something going on in your life from your past, from your childhood, from your teenage years, from your 20s, your 30s, wherever you're at, you'll have a full explanation and you'll be able to correct it. All right. And I'll just give you a couple more examples. Just a real quick one here. I'm just thinking of one that happened in Canada. There was a guy in Manitoba that won $10 million in a lottery. I believe it was $10 million in a lottery. He was who he was. You know, he was probably what we call a podunk. I don't know if you know what a podunk is. It's kind of like a redneck hillbilly. No offense to a redneck hillbilly. I got some friends that are, you know, really good people that are redneck hillbillies. But as fast as he won the $10 million, he had to give it back. He didn't have to give it back that way. He blew it. And not only did he blow it irresponsibly because he wasn't at a vibration or frequency to basically sustain and maintain a $10 million, windfall, he ended up committing suicide a little bit later. All right. So wherever you're at in your vibration, your energy, your frequency, whatever you see in the mirror, remember this. There is a world within, there is a world without. The world without is a total reflection of the world within. And you'll learn that in the course too. Okay? So anyhow, this is the first step to everything in life. This is the manual they should have given us at birth. This is the manual they should have been teaching us in school. This is the manual the hierarchical structure in society does not want you to have access to. Why? Because it empowers people. Everything changes when you know this information. Everything changes. The rules change. Everything changes when you know this information. You're no longer a puppet tied to strings. You become the puppet master. Okay? So I'll leave that there. So we have a compensation plan here. Trace, you can scroll down if you want. We'll just kind of go through. I'm not going to go through the whole timeline, but you can go to the price. Just go through the prices and stop at the original price. Back then, the original price of this, and you can go through this website. You'll all get your own personalized website, autoresponder, and everything. Back in 1994, you're going to get the audios back in 1994, 8 audio cassette tapes, and the instruction manual, gold embossed, spiral bound, $1,250. To go to the 2-day seminar, it was $6,000. Listen to me, 1994, 95, and I went 4 times. It was $6,000. All right, it was $6,250. Now, Verenicus is no longer with us on the planet. There's nobody that would be able to do the seminar better than him. He's helped more people kind of in an underground movement become more successful than Carter has liver pills. Okay, and now today's price, because I've got the audios, I've got the workbook together, we decided we would make this affordable for every man, woman, and child, $77, not $6,250. Not $1,250, but $77. So people around the world can become empowered, be inspired to live out their divine birthright, which was taken away from us at birth. We were structured, we were molded in the way society wanted us, our parents wanted us, religion wanted us, the workplace wanted us, the social structures of the ecosystem molded us. And sometimes some of us feel like we don't fit in, we don't belong. And you'll understand that better when you go through this material. I didn't belong in the social structure that was created. I never had to have a job. I don't want a job. I don't fit in that world. It's not who I am. So this helped me find myself, give me a second chance at life and better myself instead of feeling worried and suffering anxiety attacks and being sick all the time because I didn't fit in. So this is freedom, folks. This is freedom. And the really sad part, like I said at the beginning of this, so many people on the internet are full of crap. Even some of the people that I respect on the internet are full of crap. Why do I say they're full of crap? Because they use the terminology mindset. Oh, people have to have a better mindset. Oh, the reason why they didn't join a program is because of their mindset. These people don't believe a damn word they're saying. They're using words to manipulate. They're not using words for purpose and meaning and mission. Okay? Because if they did, everybody would be in this business opportunity. They would, and they don't know about it yet, but they will be. They will know about it soon enough. But my whole point being is they need to know about it at some point. But I still know a lot of people out there that would rather be out there hustling for money, ripping people off than actually addressing the biggest problem in the industry, and that's mindset. Because when you have access to this type of material, the unfortunate part, if it is unfortunate, is you don't really need those people any longer. You become independent. You become mentally healthy. You become organized. You become structured. You become, you know, totally self-sufficient. And yes, it's nice to have partners and colleagues and a significant other in your life, spouse, whatever it may be. But you know, you'll find one thing: either you can grow with people with this, or you will basically delete people out of your life when you go through this course. You'll realize how certain people have bogged you down, slowed you down in the game of life, and hold you back. That's what I learned in this. People have always tried to hold me back, help, you know, they've held me back over the years, and I bought into it, but not any longer. It's time to always just keep moving forward, right? So, just incredible things here. All right, shifting gears here, I want to talk a little bit about the compensation plan, because we built a compensation plan in here so you could all make some money. I think, honestly, I think people would really be happy if they could earn, you know, a couple $100 a day, right? Wouldn't it be really cool to be able to earn a couple $100 a day? You know, I know some people want to make $1,000 a day, $3,000 a day. That's totally possible too, but I don't want to freak you out on the first meeting and start talking about people making $2,000-$3,000 a day. We have two people on this call right now that I know that have made over $800, $900, $1,400 in just a couple days without even promoting this on Facebook. Isn't that amazing? Without even opening up to the world. All right. And our compensation plan is really simple. For every sale generated out of the $77, you get to keep 50. And I'm going to explain this the best way I can. I don't have a PowerPoint in front of me to do it totally. I think we have a video. We have a video on the website that you can all go watch if you want to see the comp plan. This is one of the most powerful compensation plans in the world. It's not if you don't understand it, but if you understand it, you go, oh my gosh, this is incredible. And the reason why, it's based on the universal spiritual principles of you got to give in order to receive. And the way that works, giving in order to receive, is really simple. So let's say you're a benefactor. Just stay with me on this, and you can go watch the video. We have a 4-minute video on the compensation plan. It'll explain there. Just watch what I say. So you're a qualified benefactor, hypothetically speaking. So let's say Amy, who's on the call, is a qualified benefactor. I'm out there. I read the website. I go to a call. I pick up some of the recordings that are out there, and this thing totally blows my mind. There's no way I can say no to something that has made, you know, many people hundreds of millions of dollars in the world, and millions of dollars in the world, and definitely well over 6 figures in the world. How am I going to say no to that? All right. My life's not perfect. I'd like to make it a little bit more perfect than it is. So I go to Amy. I say, Amy, I would like to come in on this because it's a member to member. And I know this is a challenge for some people that have been brainwashed by automation in the industry, but you know, we're working on a solution to help those people out too. Because it's member to member, I would pay Amy directly $77. Some people wanted to go to a company and then the company send out commissions. That's not what this is all about. You know, I'd rather spend 15 seconds PayPaling or Zelling or Cash Apping or Striping, or, you know, if I want to use crypto, I could pay Amy through crypto, her $77. I'm buying the course from her. All right. She's going to send me the information in order to pay her, whatever means. Boom, I pay her. Amy, you keep $50. Then you go in the back office and you pay the company 27. There's a link in the back office there. You can only get to it if you sign in, and you can pay as a benefactor. You can pay the $27 to the admin, which covers all your everything. You get the whole package, self-replicating website, capture pages, everything we create for you, all inclusive in that 27 bucks, and we don't have a monthly fee. That's a one-time, lifetime, and you don't pay again. All right, one-time, lifetime, $77 as well too. All right, so keeping that in mind, I'm now in Amy's team. She's a seller. I'm a buyer. I want to become a benefactor because right now I'm a student. I'm classified as a student technically in the program, but I was the buyer originally. So as a student, I want to graduate to benefactor. What do I need to do to graduate to benefactor? I need to utilize the universal spiritual principles. I got to give in order to receive. I bring in Tracy. And as me bringing Tracy in as my first sale, I give my first sale up. You got to give in order to receive. I give my first sale to Amy. It's called a pass up sale. So Tracy, this is Amy. Amy, this is Tracy. Tracy, you'll be paying Amy. I'm gone now. I'm a benefactor. Once I leave my firstborn up for adoption behind, Tracy's now working with Amy. Tracy pays Amy $77. Amy, you didn't know Tracy 36 seconds ago, you made $50. I'm gone. Now I can start doing what Amy's doing as a benefactor, making as many sales as I want to infinity and just cashing in big time. Tracy is now with Amy. Tracy is a buyer. Amy is a seller. Amy's a benefactor. Tracy is a student. Tracy wants to become a benefactor. So she says, Amy, I've got my friend here. My friend is Matt. Matt's going to come in, buy the package from Amy because Tracy's got to pass her first sale up to Amy. Amy didn't know Matt 3.9 seconds ago. Tracy slides out. She's gone. She's a benefactor. There's no downlines here. It's just a direct retail transaction between Amy and Matt. Matt wants to move forward. Matt brings in Bruce as a sale, gives Bruce to Amy. His first sale has to get passed up. Matt slides out. He's free to do whatever he wants now. Bruce is now working with Amy. Amy make another $50. So Amy just made, I don't know, $150 there, $200 there. She didn't know more than one of those people. They were pass ups who passed up, who passed up, who passed up, who passed up. You can create as many pass up situations as you want. Like we have one person that brought in 10 people. So those 10 people each have to pass up one, who pass up one, who pass up one. They now have 10 retail pay lines, and there's really no downline. So there's 1,000, that could be $1,000 in a day. So I brought, Amy made $50 for me. I brought Tracy in. Amy makes another $50. She's up $100. Tracy brings in, Matt. Matt brings in Bruce. Amy made $200 and only knew one person. Everyone's leaving one person behind for you in order to advance, be promoted, and go to benefactor. It's incredible when you really understand the power of this. I've been using this compensation plan since 1988. And in 2001, when we did 181,000 sales, $91 million in sales, we used the same compensation plan, the one-up. I had one lady out of Oregon. She made about $4.2 million utilizing this comp plan. Can't do this in MLM, but you can do it in an affiliate marketing. The direct sales go to you, and then you go in the back office and you make the payment. There's a payment link right there for the $27 to go to admin, and you're laughing all the way to the bank. All right. One of the things that I know about marketers today, just studying marketers today, they're not disciplined and the way they used to be. The marketing days, days gone by were so much better than they are today. Everyone today, it's just a free for all. It's just a free for all. Everyone's just like, nobody wants to know anybody. Nobody wants to talk to anybody here. I'm just going to, people just want to make money and not connect, never even say hi, The beautiful thing about this allows you to connect even if for 15 seconds. You make $50 working with one person for, a minute and a half, 10, 15, 20 minutes maybe. They come to a Zoom call, boom, they get back to you. You're getting $50. You're not getting small money. You're getting 100% of the commission. $27 goes to admin. You're laughing. You know what I'm saying? So people in MLM that have a downline of 1,000 people, how much would they make with a downline of 1,000 people? Well, if the company was paying them $2, they'd make $2,000. If you had 1,000 people referred to you, kind of through the invisible downline that really doesn't exist here, one leaving, one leaving, one leaving, one leaving, one. Everyone's motivated to leave one so they can move on. 1,000 people here wouldn't be worth $2,000. It would give you $50,000. Touch it, feel it, smell it, cash it, spend it the same day. So the compensation plan falls in alignment with the movie The Secret, the theme behind The Secret. Anything that is law of attraction, anything that is universal spiritual law, you got to give in order to receive. The compensation plan works the same way. The only thing is that people question me is they say, why are you selling this for only $77 when it's created millionaires, it's created billionaires in the real world that most people are not even, privileged to. Like, this is the information. If they taught this in school, the world would not be the way it is today. It wouldn't even be close to the way it is today. This is information that would create a global paradigm shift unlike anything you have ever seen or could imagine. All right. People wouldn't feel like they're going through life in bondage every single day. They mental bondage, never mind, financial bondage, just mental bondage, mental health issues, you know, this would help clean that up too. I remember a psychotherapist, and I'm going off on a tangent here, and I promise I'll stop. I remember a psychotherapist back in the day took this course. She was in tears. She said what she could do with somebody in 2-3 weeks, with this course. They were her client for 7 years. She found a shortcut, and she didn't know how to take that shortcut until she got this course and presented it to somebody that was paying an awful lot of money for therapy. I don't think they're her client anymore. I think they went on to live a bigger, better, and healthier life. So, are there any quick questions? I think I'm pretty much done for tonight. I don't want to hold you up here. I know I kept you on here for about 40 minutes, 39 minutes to be exact. You can open up, Tracy. Just see if there's any quick questions. So what you get here is you get a digital audio library in the back office. You get an instructional workbook that you'll be using, for you personally. You can take notes. You can do all kinds of incredible things with it. You get the autoresponder. You get lead capture pages that are almost done. You'll be able to collect your own money. You got access to a link in the back office. You've got a whole report area of all your sales that you generated, all the people that are that you've been working with here. It's almost like a genealogy tree, but again, there is no downline here. It's a direct retail transaction between two people. That's all it is. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, the lines are, you can unmute if you want to. Go right ahead.
I think there's another slide too, Tracy, that might even be stronger than that.
Yeah, this is one we just added.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, I actually have a question, Val. How is this different from like Bob Proctor's programs that have been,
Yeah, Bob Proctor's programs
repurposed?
are good. Yeah, Bob Proctor's programs are good. I went to the Born Rich program. It was absolutely phenomenal. This is a little bit deeper. This brings you right to the source. Bob talked more philosophically speaking, about laws of attraction and uh, all the different energy, vibration. Everything in life is energy. This actually shows you how to do it. This is people can talk about martial arts. People can sit in a lecture hall and listen to a professor speak. This actually takes you through the exercises. I'll give an example. Do you know that most Christian people, I know this because I've been a Christian person I went from Catholic to Anglican to where did I go to? I went from Catholic to Anglican to Pentecostal. Do you know that most Christian people don't have a clue how to pray? They don't teach you how to pray in church, at least in the churches I've been to, and every Christian person that I've ever come across, they don't even know how to pray. They pray with their hands together. And, the real prayer is to put your hands on your thighs, face up, and be open to receive. Some of you might have had a breakthrough and learned that, but most people haven't. So this takes you through all the physical exercises. When you go to a Bob Proctor seminar, there are no physical exercises. You sit there and you go, wow, that's phenomenal. Yeah, and you go to Bob Proctor's seminar and you see him draw things on a whiteboard or on one of those easels with all those sheets of paper, and he'll show you something like what he showed me, for example, is he said, do you know the mind is not the brain? People think the mind is the brain. They think, that person's out of their mind, or it's all mindset. When you talk mindset, what are you talking about? Bob never, showed you exactly how to alter these different states. He talked about it, but he never took you through the physical exercises where he sat down and did it with you. Verenicus sat you down. We went through all the exercises. He talks, he gives you the philosophical, he walks you through each scenario, and then he stops, and then you have to go through the physical exercise. So, and he will walk you through the physical exercise right through that. And you do that on a daily basis, whether it be chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. So it's like even Anthony Robbins and Zig Ziglar. I've been to their seminars, but the big thing missing after the rah, rah, rah and hype and all that stuff is, yeah, that's nice. And oh, yeah, I read your book. That was great. And oh, yeah, I bought your audio cassette tapes. But now what? And so this has the now what? And that was what was missing with The Secret. And Bob later realized, he didn't realize it at the time, but he realized later, and I've got the video of him talking about it, so we'll have that up on the website. They didn't really explain the law of attraction. Bob tells you that probably 95% of the people do not have any clue what the law of attraction truly is. And I'm not going to get into it and teach it tonight because I want people to buy the course, right? I'm not going to sit here and do everything for free. So this is the physical application. Martial arts, sit there. It's different when you're in the dojo. It's different when you're on the mat. It's different when you're going up against a master or a black belt. You know, you could be a blue belt, a brown belt, but then you spar with a black belt. That's the difference. You know, it's like playing a guitar. You can take guitar lessons, but unless you have somebody or something there to put you through the process over and over and over and over and over and over again, you're not going to learn how to play the guitar. I went to organ lessons when I was a kid. I went 3 times. I don't know how to play the organ. You know what I'm saying? But it sounded really good. So that's the difference. One thing to be a plumber, but if you're not going to come and learn on the spot training, you're not a plumber. So the application is the most important thing. And moms, if there's any moms on the line here, you know that with your children. You don't tell somebody how to clean up their room. You don't tell somebody how to make their bed. You do it with them. 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 So it becomes like muscle memory. It becomes, you know, daily habitual patterns. So this will teach you how to eliminate some of the most terrible behavioral habits that some of you might have, like I had, and totally alter that. You don't have to say, when somebody asks you to do something, you don't have to say, now I'll do it later. Later never comes. You know, when somebody asks me to do something, you know, I'm excited about doing it now. And Tracy knows I'm a very impatient person. I like things done now, and that's because I've taken this course. I don't have time for la-di-da. I have time for, okay, let's get it done. This is the way I've been trained, right? And it probably hasn't been a really good thing in my relationships over the years because I have expectations. And other people sometimes are a little bit too lazy for me to be around. You know what I'm saying? So whatever that may be, it could be friends, could be colleagues in the industry. So anyhow, I didn't mean to give you a long answer. This will work you out. This is not looking at the gym equipment. You are going to go through the workouts after every section in the audios. Makes me think about something. I had a friend of mine. He went to the Eric Worre, my massage therapist, young guy, 23 years old. Want to tell you a story. Sorry about this, but I'm always moved. You guys always find a way to move me. Check this out. Blew my mind. I don't get blown away by too many people. 23-year-old kid. He's my massage therapist. He's really good. He's going to university, college. He's into kinesiology and whatnot. He's my massage therapist. And he says to me one time, I'm in there 1 week. I kid you not. Blew my mind. I said, so what are you doing this weekend? And he says, I'm going to Vegas. I said, you're going to Vegas? He says, yeah, I'm going down to Vegas with my dad. My dad's in this company called Lioness. I don't know what Lioness is. I think it's something in Africa.
Been around for a long time.
Oh, yeah. It's an MLM company, right? So he goes down to Vegas, and a whole bunch of people from the company are going down to Vegas. I said, what are you going down to Vegas for? He says, I don't really know, but he says, there's this thing. I'm going down there to support my dad. Remember, he's 23 years old. He doesn't have any experience, right? And he says, I'm going down there to support my dad. My dad's in this company called Lioness. My dad invited me to go down, and I'm going to go down for the weekend. I said, well, are you going for an event? Are you going for, like, you know, a Lioness event? He says, no, we're going to this thing called, he was joking with me. He said, I'm going to this thing called Go Blow. But it wasn't Go Blow. It was Go Pro. He was a 23-year-old kid joking around. So he said, I'm going down to this thing called Go Blow. But then he's joking with me. And he says, no, Go Pro. And I said, oh, that's Eric Worre's event. And he says, yeah, I think that's the guy's name. Some Eric Worre guy, some big multimillionaire with a big massive house, and he's got this thing going on down there on the weekend. So anyway, I didn't think nothing of it. I said, hey, congratulations, great, what a great start, man. I mean, you're doing all the right things as a young man. You're looking for financial freedom. You're looking to be independent. You don't want to be an employee. You don't want to, you want to own your own life, right? So 3 weeks goes by. I go back and see him again 3 weeks later, and we got talking. And I asked him again. I said, so, how was it? How was the GoPro event? And he said, oh, it was pretty good. We got drunk down there a few times. So we went to the casinos and we went on the main drag, and we saw one show down there. And I said, well, not that. I mean, how did you like the event with Eric Worre? I said, what did you get out of it? Because I'm very, inquisitive. I want to know, because I'm, I have my own opinions about things, because I've been trained at a higher level than, that type of training. And so I wanted to hear what he had to say. And this is what blew my mind. I was totally blown away. And after he said this, I said, dude, I love you. And you know why I told him I loved him? Because this is what he said to me. And I've been telling people this for years, but people are not smart enough to figure it out. And if they have figured it out, they keep their mouths shut. And I don't know why they keep their mouths shut, because I got a big mouth. I have no problem, telling the truth about stuff in this industry. I said, so what did you get out of it? And he paused, and remember, he's working on my back, working on my shoulders and my back. And he says, that's a great question. He said, what I think I got out of it was $4,200 in debt on my credit card. And he blew my mind when he said that. He blew my mind when he blew my mind when he said that. $4,200 in credit card debt he got out of it for the weekend, for 4 days. They went down Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. He didn't say he got anything out of the seminar, the workshop. He didn't brag about, going to see Journey or something like that, one of the residential bands down there playing in Vegas. He said he's got $4,200 in debt on his credit card. And that was because of, they had dinners, and they hit the casinos a little bit too. He lost some money on that. They had to pay for their own hotel. They had to pay for airfare there and back from Canada, from Edmonton to Vegas. So I loved it. That was the best answer a human being on this planet sucking oxygen could ever give me, because that's the truth. He told me his truth, and it was $4,200 in debt. And I can't begin to tell you how many thousands of dollars that I would love to have back in my pocket that I spent on personal self-development that never did nothing for me. 17 years of following the gurus, and nothing but living in a basement apartment and eating crap, peanut butter and, pizza and, Kentucky Fried Chicken when there was a bone around. Honestly, this stuff doesn't work, and that's just my personal opinion. Some of you might want to debate me, argue with me about it. You'll never convince me. The man-made self-help movement does not work. It does not work. And I think anyone that's smart enough to know, it's fun, it's exciting, it's a weekend away, but it's not going to make you everything you want it to make you. You'll be pumped up for 2-3 days, 2-3 weeks, and all of a sudden you go back to blah. And so with the question that I think it was Amy that might have asked me, or somebody else asked me the question, that's the difference between this course, is that there's no hype, there's no smoke and mirrors. It's just production. That's all it is. It just produces. It's like IKEA furniture. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, complete, done. There's no hype, smoke and mirrors, and rah sessions when you're putting IKEA furniture together. It's just, you have a destination. Your destination is to own that house. Your destination is to have that person in your life. Your destination is to buy that new car. And a lot of people say, I'm going to get a new house this year. Or somebody will say, I'm going to buy a new car this year. What does that mean? Like, what does that mean? And this is where people screw up. They say, oh, I'm going to get new clothes, or I'm going to go out tonight and I'm going to get a date. You got to be kidding me. Why would people talk that language? It's absolutely pathetic. That's what I learned. You have to be specific with the universe. You have to tell it, you want this house looking this way, this yard, this swimming pool, this kitchen, this cabinetry, this bedroom, these vaulted ceilings. You want a brand new car? Don't say you want a brand new car. Place your order exactly how you want it. right down to the hubcaps. Like right down to the hubcaps. I'll give an example just in case I'm confusing you a little bit, and then I'll chill out here because I'm getting wound up. I want to start teaching. I could go on here for 3 hours. We got to do another Zoom call here in a minute. But here's what I'll tell you. Imagine going into a restaurant and somebody says, so what can I get you? I would like some food, please. Well, what does that mean? So the same thing with the universe. You have to be specific with what you want. Do you want filet mignon? Do you want asparagus? Do you want a fully loaded baked potato? Do you want garlic mashed potatoes? Do you want mushrooms on the side? Do you want, caviar? What do you want? And people in life don't understand that. They're afraid to ask for what they want. I was terrified to ask for all kinds of things that I wanted in life because I thought I was a piece of trash. That's what my dad told me every single day. And then when I realized I wasn't a piece of trash and Fred taught me all these incredible things, I got everything and anything I want. Any car, any house, any relationship, anything. Effortlessly. And that's the difference between this and your stereotypical Anthony Robbins or Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor's great, but even he didn't take you through the missing elements, and it's all in this course. So that's the answer. I hope that's a good answer and a terribly long answer to your question. Any other quick questions? All right. Well, listen, I got to get on another Zoom call here in about 4 minutes. Some people are probably actually coming into the room here right now. So listen, love y'all in spirit. You guys have an amazing evening. I hope you get involved in this program. It's going to rock. We're going to make this thing great. We want to develop great people. There's a lot of people out there that are hustling for $200 here, $800 there, $400 here. That's all they're ever going to be. They don't understand the universal principles, right? That's why it's so important to go through this course. This is not about just making $50. This is not about making $2,000, $3,000. Oh yeah, that's there. That's the side effect. But this course, I can take this course and I can go out there and leverage it into a multi-million-dollar business in any other profession, any other industry. I can land in any other country in the world and I can figure out how to make 7 figures. And I don't have to speak the language. This course is unbelievable. It truly is. How do I know that? Because I've been a student of it for over 30 years. How will you know that? Because you're going to be a student of it starting tonight. All right. Get back to whoever put you on the call. Love you all in spirit. Have an amazing evening. And God bless. And get in the Facebook group and we'll be announcing more calls for next week. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.